Hi, this is Forrest for Faulty Lid. Today, we're going to break down how Misfits use triple DPS lineups to counter triple tank compositions and win the Dreamhack Winter Tournament. Triple or quadruple tank compositions are incredibly simple in their execution. They typically move behind a Reinhardt's shield and attack from a single angle. Misfits' strategy to counter that is a bit more creative. They break from the meta by using 3 DPS heroes and attack from multiple angles. They'll use a Widow or Pharah to pin the enemy team down. Then they use a Tracer and either a Genji or a Soldier to attack from even more angles. Enemy teams have to choose who to focus, and none of the solutions are ideal. Misfits' strategy works because it forces enemy damage dealers to focus on too many directions at once. I believe it is especially effective against compositions that run a single Soldier 76 for a DPS. In our first team fight we're going to look at, Misfits uses a team comp of Pharah, Tracer, Genji, Winston, Zenyatta, and Lucio. This is a team comp that has low sustain, but also has incredibly high knockout power. Fnatic are running a standard meta triple tank lineup with Soldier 76. Here, the goal of Misfits' lineup is to overwhelm the enemy 76 and kill him as soon as possible. If successful, Fnatic will struggle to output the damage necessary to win the fight. Misfits' Pharah pokes while her team's Genji and Tracer move into position. Tracer moves around to take the high ground position along with Genji. When they're ready, the whole team strikes. Pharah uses a concussive blast to put herself above Fnatic's Soldier. Tracer blinks into the calf above his head. Genji dashes behind him. Winston dives in and drops a bubble that separates Fnatic's 76 and D.Va from the rest of their team. Fnatic's Soldier can't stick around. He runs away from the fight. Meanwhile, D.Va's health was brought critically low by the dive team. While not the hero they were looking for, Misfits does get some value out of their initial dive by breaking D.Va's mech. Unfortunately, Fnatic's Roadhog hooked Tracer and killed her. The fight is now 5v6 in Fnatic's favor. Misfits doesn't back off. They're down a man, but they have good positioning. Soldier 76 returns to the fight. Before he can even read the situation, Pharah hits him with a rocket. He tries to run again, but she finishes him off. This is the kill Misfits really wanted. It is now a 5v5 where Misfits has much more damage potential than Fnatic. Pharah chunks some damage into Baby D.Va, and Winston cleans up the kill. Winston dies, but the kill gets traded when Misfits kills Fnatic's Reinhardt simultaneously. Tracer returns from spawn. The fight is now 5v3. They kill Ana and Lucio. Fnatic's Roadhog kills Tracer, but at this point it doesn't matter. The fight is over. Misfits cleans up the D.Va and Soldier who try to stall, and they take the point. I think this was an impressive attack. Misfits basically won it fighting a 5v6. They accomplished this because they put such high pressure onto Fnatic's Soldier 76. He never had a chance to be comfortable and lay down fire. From the moment the fight began, he was ganked from all directions. Once Fnatic's main DPS was dead, they had no answer for Misfits' flankers. Regardless of your own team comp, defeating the Soldier 76 in a triple tank lineup will bring you a lot of success in countering it. Overbuff.com coined this triple DPS strategy the high dive comp. It is like a dive comp, only with an extra DPS and Zenyatta added to give it even more knockout potential. This type of strategy makes sense to run on offense. On attack, early picks are incredibly valuable and allow you to take objectives consistently. What really intrigued me though was how effective Misfits was at running a triple DPS composition on defense. This makes Misfits vulnerable to early picks because their lineup is so squishy and lacks the burst healing an Ana can provide. However, they still managed to full hold to the first point on Watchpoint Gibraltar. On defense, Misfits switches out the Winston for Reinhardt. The DPS used here are Widow, 76, and Tracer. Widow, Zenyatta, Lucio, and 76 position on the high ground that overlooks the point. Reinhardt positions on the low ground with Tracer. Fnatic 76 flanks around and puts some shots onto Reinhardt's back. This forces him to give ground and back up. This is done to help Fnatic create some space. Tracer flanks around, gets attacked, and immediately recalls. Fnatic decides to go through the server room and take the high ground so that they can't be swarmed from all sides. The two teams end up switching positions. The problem here for Fnatic is that even though they have good high ground, they don't have many ranged heroes that can take advantage of it. They really only have 76 and Zenyatta. D.Va and Roadhog leave the high ground to attack Reinhardt. This actually puts Roadhog out of position for the rest of his team. Tracer and Soldier crossfire at him from 2 angles and kill him. Fnatic's Rein drops off the high ground and I believe he charges at Misfits' Reinhardt. Misfits' Rein dies a moment later. Widow puts a shot into Zenyatta and brings him to low health. He hides so Widow grapples towards him to finish him off. Fnatic Zen kills Widow with an insta-kill right click. Luckily for Misfits, Tracer finishes off the Zen. The fight is now 4v4. Tracer and Soldier get into a 1v1, and this will basically decide the fight. She bursts him down with the help of her Zenyatta's Discord Orb. Off-screen, Fnatic's D.Va kills Zenyatta simultaneously. The fight is now 3v3. Lucio, Tracer, and Soldier versus D.Va, Lucio, and Reinhardt. Tracer sticks Reinhardt with a pulse bomb and then kills Lucio. Soldier finishes off D.Va. Misfits wins the team fight. This fight was won for several reasons. First, Misfits' positioning gave them the upper hand. They had more heroes that could take advantage of the distance gap between the teams. This really helped them get the first pick onto Roadhog. Fnatic's Roadhog had to play in a less than ideal position in order to be effective. His Reinhardt could have come to the low ground to protect him, but that just opens up Fnatic's squishies to Widowmaker. Both choices were bad. Second, once Reinhardt did go to the low ground, Widow and Tracer killed Zenyatta. Tracer then followed this up by killing 76. Without their high-impact healer and high-impact damage dealer, Fnatic was at a huge disadvantage for the rest of the fight. When fights simplify and only a few heroes are alive on each team, not every hero carries the same value. Having DPS and healers remaining is preferable to having tanks. Misfits comp has 3 DPS, Fnatic has 1. The odds are that if trades start happening, Misfits is going to be left with more damage dealers. That gives them the advantage when it's 3v3 at the end. Both teams had a Lucio to sustain, but only one of the teams had damage dealers that could easily knock out their opponents. Lastly, the fight was won because Soon is just kind of a badass on Tracer. DPS heroes have the ability to get a high number of kills in a team fight. They can have huge impacts and even win fights that seem to already be lost. Misfits having 3 DPS is like having 3 lottery tickets. They have 3 heroes that can go off at any time and single-handedly win a team fight. This time, it was Tracer. In our first example, it was Pharah. Comps that use triple or quadruple tanks don't have quite the same potential. Roadhog and Soldier can make high-impact frag plays, but the carry potential is not as good as having 3 DPS. I think triple DPS strategies where teams have coordinated attacks from multiple angles are probably the most powerful strategy right now. In theory, it should be able to counter triple tank compositions effectively. The problem with these lineups, and the reason more teams don't use them, is that they can be inconsistent. Take this fight for example. Misfits gets the first pick in this team fight when Widow snipes Fnatic's Tracer. The fight is now 6v5 and Fnatic is without any DPS heroes. They just have D.Va, Reinhardt, and Winston. Neither team has ultimates, so this fight should be an easy win for Misfits. Tracer moves in to attack and push on the man advantage. She takes damage and has to recall. This is crucial. Tracer moved in too early. Her Winston and Genji are just getting into position to attack now. Winston and Genji dive, but Tracer can't help much. Her health gets low and she has to retreat. Meanwhile, Winston and Genji are outgunned. Winston has his healing blocked, and Fnatic's team has their healing buffed. Winston goes down. Misfits Genji can't produce enough damage to kill anything before Fnatic's Winston kills him. Genji needed his Tracer's help, and at the same time, Widow couldn't help because she didn't have an angle to do anything more after getting the first pick. As quick as it became an easy teamfight win, this attack became a teamfight loss. I imagine if Tracer waits a couple of seconds and times her engage with Winston and Genji, then Misfits would win the fight. Instead, her early use of recall limits her team's damage output. A tiny mistake decides the fight when it seemed like it was already won. Triple DPS is volatile by nature. We're not only dealing with some tiny health pools, but in Misfits' case, we also don't have an Ana to dish out quick burst heals. This makes the strategy high risk, high reward. Triple DPS can utilize multiple angles of attack and do insane burst damage, but tiny missteps can make the whole fight unravel quickly. This is why teams don't run this strategy. In tournament settings, you can't afford for DPS players to have bad games. You need strategies that will be consistent. Additionally, most teams don't have 3 qualified DPS players to make the strategy work. I think strategies with more DPS heroes and multiple angles of attack will be the future of Overwatch. It's just not now. Triple and quad tank comps are just too simple and consistent. Those are great qualities for a strategy to have, especially when the game isn't even a year old yet. The time of triple DPS will come when teams can execute these strategies at such a high level of polish that the risk is minimized and the reward is more certain. Right now, the Overwatch community as a whole just isn't there yet. If you're looking to run your own triple DPS high dive composition, then it's going to take some serious work before it's consistently effective. You'll need a pre-made group of 6 people that you practice the execution regularly with. You'll also need that group to have the personnel to run it. If you don't have 3-star DPS players, then it probably isn't worth it. This strategy takes a high Overwatch IQ and elite DPS play to get the most out of it. If you and your friends think you can handle it, then it's worth trying. I think triple DPS is the strategy with the highest skill ceiling. It has the most potential of everything I've seen right now. Teams that perfect the execution and find ways to iron out a lot of the risk will be a nightmare to deal with. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to help support our page. Hit the bell button next to subscribe to get a notification whenever our page posts a video. If you have any topics you'd like covered in a future pro breakdown, suggest them in the comments below. Follow us on Twitter @VaultyLidGaming. This has been Forrest with Vaulty Lid, and I'll see you next time.